guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Authors to Know and Their Books to Read. I'm your host, Martinique Brown. I'm so excited that you have decided to tune into the show today. I'm excited to have author D.L. Winters, who has written the book Poetry with Reason. If this is your first time ever tuning into the show, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go ahead and share this video now. Another thing that I would love to tell you about is I've taken all of the hard work out of this. So all of DL's contact information is listed in the description box. Another thing is, if you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, then that would be great. Also, DL has a YouTube channel as well. Like I said, his YouTube link is in the description box as well. So DL, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. you just like a poet. So cool, calm, collect. I feel like snapping right now. So DL, can you just tell our viewers just a little bit more about yourself?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm a servant of the Most High. You know, I am a father, a husband. I'm a business owner. I own my own trucking company. I'm also a volunteer. I volunteer in the community. So I do a lot, you know, to try to help out people. But, all in all, I'm a pretty good roundabout guy.
Oh, okay. If you say so yourself, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So what type of writer would you actually describe yourself as?
Well, first, I am unique. I know a lot of people want to say that they're unique, but I notice a lot of different writers and poets, they have the same type of cadence and things of that nature. And me, I'm completely different. I don't have anything like that. I know a lot of guys, they write poetry, they talk about things in the world, their life and stuff like that, but mine is focused, centered on God. So, you know, my whole way, its style is completely different. It's nothing that you've ever heard that you will ever be, you know, experienced with, unless there's somebody doing a copycat, unless I got a copycat.
I understand.
I'm completely different.
So now when you say servant of the Lord, you're actually a minister, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we don't typically hear about too many ministers that write poetry. How did you even get interested in writing poetry?
Well, it started off with, you know, writing. I like writing letters and stuff like that. So I started off with that. Then it transitioned to, you know, love poetry. You know, this was younger in my 13, 14 teenage years. I'm writing poems and girls and stuff like that. But after time, you know, fast forward a bit, I had my heart broken. But this whole time I've always been in the church and stuff like that. And I got a chance to really recognize the love of God, you know, and I was writing to people that really didn't have that concern for me. And once I really sat back and I looked at him and him never, you know, changing who he is and always having that unconditional love, it was just like, you know what, why am I writing to these people that don't care about me? Why don't I just express my heart, my feelings, my emotions, and the things that I've went through to you? And so that's what channeled me to just start focusing on Christian poetry. And
Oh, wow.
It's phenomenal. Yeah, it's been really phenomenal. And, you know, God has blessed me tremendously.
So now when you say that individuals that broke your heart, you was writing poems to them. Did you ever give them those poems, or was this just a way for you to vent and flush out everything that you were going through at that time with that person?
No, I wrote them. I gave them to them. They would read them. You know, you get your little bit of feedback, but nothing to where it's like, you know, there was that really deep connection. And I'm one of those people. I'm a deep person. I love deep. And so I feel if I'm putting that type of love out, I should feel like I should get it back. But that's not always the case. But that's kind of like how it happened on that end. And so then when you look at God and how he is and the love that he has, it's like, wow, I can't compare it with that. That's
So you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about gospel singers that's able to cross over. So sometimes, you know, they sing gospel songs, but they also sing, you know, love songs. Are some of your love poems about, you know, your significant other, you know, your wife, your kids, things like that, or do they strictly just around God?
Yes, they do. They do transition. I say the new word that they're using, hybrid. So you can like it's a
Okay.
hybrid way of
Yeah.
doing it. Yes, and then you channel it towards my sons, my daughters, family members, and stuff like that. But even with channel it towards them, God is involved. He's involved in everything. So even though it's channeled towards them, I always get a chance to see where He's at in their lives and my life when I'm writing it and being able to just express my feelings towards Him and glorifying Him through it as well.
Okay. So I know that just as a Christian myself, we don't always have our up days, and there's times where you can blame God for the situations that you're going through. Does any of your poems ever touch on that? When you're really like you having your moments of like David moments or Job moments, you know, or Job's friends where they say, "Well, why don't you just curse
Mm-hmm.
God?"
Curse God and die.
Yeah.
No, because the way I look at God, I mean, I sometimes I wonder why people do that, but at the same time, being humans, I can understand that because, we want things to go our way, but instead of us looking at it from a perspective of the creator and how he's already planned things out to go his way. So
Mhm.
what we have to do is just recognize that, this is his will and to let his will be done. I mean, you could talk about death, for instance, and there's a couple of poems in there that are talking to those people that who have lost loved ones, and I'm just consoling with them. But even with death, that's out of our control. We know everybody has to ultimately die one day. So the
Mhm.
only one that's in control of life and death is God. And so who am I, the potter? I mean the clay, to get mad at the potter?
Mhm.
Who am I? I'm just a piece of clay. So once I humble myself in that standpoint, and I never, I could see in a way where Job was at, because he's been a man that has done, good things in the land, and but me, I wasn't that good guy like him. And
Yeah.
so, it's like, yeah, hey, whatever your will is, Lord, let your will be done. I'm just grateful for another day. So,
Definitely, definitely. And we actually have Becky that's tuning into the show, and she said, "Faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love."
is
Yes,
love.
Lord.
Yes.
Amen, Becky. Amen, Becky. And Becky's also an author herself.
Amen.
So, why did you decide to write poetry with reason? And is there any meaning behind the title?
Yes. So, poetry with reason really stemmed from an idea that was I use it like this. It was just downloaded from heaven. I could write poetry. People can write poetry all the time, but what is your reason behind it? So the reason that I have is, one is to glorify God. To enlighten others. To encourage others, to support others, to uplift others. This is what it's really all about, and ultimately trying to make the world a better place. So I know we have a lot of voices that are out there, and they have different things to say in this world, and some of these voices can transition the world and how it goes. But where are all the people, that are actually speaking up and having that positive voice? And I just wanted to be in that category of people that's going to have that positive voice, have a reason behind what I'm speaking on, to be able to uplift others, to be able to support others, be able to encourage others, to let them know that, hey, you're not the only one that has faced this, but we're going to get through this together. We're going to be ultimately overcomers. And so that's what it's all about.
That's good. That's good. So when you are, preaching, do you ever feel the urge to read one of your poems or anything? You ever feel led by the
I
spirit?
mean, when you're led by the Spirit, I mean, it'd be a whole nother thing, because because I start on my message, and then next thing I know, I'm like, how did I get over here? Because
No.
it does that. It'll take you way. It's not getting out of line, out of character. You
Yeah.
still to the point, but at the same time, it's like it takes you to another place on what God wants to say. And so that's my prayer always. Anytime
Uh,
in front of people, hey, let your will be done, Lord. Speak through me. I want you to speak. Let me sit down and let you speak. Use my vessel. And so that's really what it's all about. So when my poetry is it's off to the side when I'm
yeah,
thinking and focusing on him, and it's just
I
like,
got
it's
you.
all about you.
I just want to throw that out there. I just wanted to see if you did it or not. Because you know that's how preachers get by with saying they be like, "Ugh, this wasn't even part of my sermon notes, but I just felt led by the Spirit and blah blah blah." That's how they do it.
I know some guys they do that. I know. And I be like, okay, that's their thing, but not.
I got you. So, can you walk us through your book?
Yes. Let's take a journey.
Take a journey.
Let's take a journey. So for those who, like you say, you say you're a Christian, and there's a lot of us out there. One of the things I know we love to do is just glorify the Lord, to praise Him. And He says, everything that has breath, let it praise the Lord. So we want to praise Him. So in this book, the first one, I wanted to make sure I was focusing on Him, and it's called The Name. And it just goes through different scenarios of names that we've heard of throughout the Bible. And it goes, the name that men have called upon for so many years, the name that brings forth comfort and dries all of our tears, a title that has been given to a chosen son, famous by all mankind, being recognized as the Holy One, given more names to express His nature, by which He has demonstrated for us to testify, having held the title of being called the truth, and not once has it been called a lie. Not only does His name show forth notoriety, but it also exemplifies power, being the chosen seed of deity, a spiritual living water, a heavy downpour of many showers. A ransom payer for the sins of man, has been a conjunction name like the Redeemer, the high and lofty one, and the great I am, Him being the only hope for all of the believers. The waymaker, the lamp bearer, the light and morning star, the way, the truth, and the life, and His presence is never far. The good master, the financial supplier, the healer of the sick, the blind guide to a blinded eye, who parted the sea with just a stick. The good master, the unblemished lamb who died on Calvary, the cornerstone, and Him alone stands in place for you and me. The Lord of hosts, the King of kings, the armor that men need to wear, the infallible word and righteous one, omnipresent and everywhere. For believers will be hated for His name's sake, that has endlessly been rejected, that at the name of Jesus Christ, every knee shall bow before setting one foot into heaven.
That's good. Yeah, come on. Snap it up for D.L. in the virtual world. Snap it, snap it.
So that's what I was meaning by, my way of unique. It's not, you're not going to hear this style like this. You're not. It's just not. It's totally different. I know we hear guys, I watch them all the time on poetry slams and stuff like that, and they all seem to sound the same. Mine is completely different. Okay, so I got another one in here. I got a few of them. I'll just touch on these real quick, and then I'll get out your way. So one I wrote to the mother. So we got motherhood, and it's basically talking about, the significance of mothers and how powerful you guys are and how important you guys are for mankind, for us as individuals. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a Christian to be a mother, because there's a lot of mothers that are out here that are not Christians. But at the same time, we know that mankind all came from the Creator. God created everybody. So it's a way of being able to express my concern and my love and my support for mothers. The same way as fatherhood. I have one in here for fatherhood. And it talks about the fathers, the ones that are really involved, the ones that are in the home. We're not talking about deadbeat dads. We're talking about guys that's going to work, that's taking care of their wives, that have one wife, that taking care of their children, doing the right thing. That's really what it's all about. Then I have some in here, like I said earlier, about people that have maybe, lost some loved ones, because I know how it feels to lose a loved one. I have some in here pertaining to marriage. I've been through, this is my second marriage. I've been through a marriage before, and it was not good. But then at the same time, it wasn't ordained by God. Larry put himself in that position. So, I talk about marriage and the roles that a husband needs to play and the roles that women need to play. Wives, it's not all about, focusing on like how men do. They want to focus on the woman to be virtuous. You be virtuous, you be virtuous.
Yeah.
But what about you? The man need to be virtuous as well, because when we look at the scriptures, those are the instructions that are given prior to that scripture, that men so randomly and so frequently, quoting from a woman. And most women, they hate hearing that word. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to be called or put in that position where you have to be submissive and stuff like that. So, we all need to be submissive. The husband and the man need to be submissive. And I said virtually, I'm a submissive, excuse me. Okay, and then I have something here. Let's see here. About fatherhood. I got another one here about dad. So me, I was a single child. I grew up, in a home with my mom, single mother, and it was what it was. But I had a dad, and he just wasn't in my life. He just wasn't involved. And I know that I'm not the only one that has grew up without a father. So I wrote one called Unknown Dad, and that one right there is really just like one of those poetic letters that's talking to him, but at the same time, it's letting him know, like, look, the father that I did have, he never forsook me. He never, left me. He was always there for me, my heavenly father. Mm-hmm. And to, let him know that, hey, look, even my heavenly father, he was there. He forgave you. So if he can forgive you, I can forgive you. But that doesn't mean that we can't just not have a relationship. And so all glory be to God. Just last year, my dad actually came down to California and he visited myself and my wife and family and everything. Wow. And our relationship is growing together. And it's like, wow, only but God though, because had I not, obeyed, because the Lord actually touched my heart. He was like, you know what? Reach out to your dad. I've tried several times, and several times he's just been kind of, wanting to keep his distance. But, I did it, and I'm grateful now. He's building a relationship with his grandchildren. He has 6 of them on my side, and then he has 5 on the other side for mine, instead of for my sister. So it's just those things that, people go through. We all face these different things, and it's just my way of being able to express it through poetry.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So now we actually have Adatola.
Adatola, yeah. Just call her Tola. That's wifey.
Tola, hey, wifey. So she says, in this times, relationships is one of the issues young and adults face. It seems to be complex. Do you have a word or poem about relationships, either friendships or marriage, to encourage us all?
Yes, I have a couple of them, actually. I have one that's called Marriage. I have one that's called Before You Divorce.
I bet that's a good one.
Because basically it's talking about the key things that we all know that we need to do in a marriage, that sometimes after getting in marriage, we just fail to do. When we were dating, for a lot of men, when you were dating, you go and you open the door for her so she can get into the car. After a year of marriage, you don't even open the door no more. You know what I'm saying? 6 months. So it's like, no, go back to the basics. Go back to doing what you used to do. Go ahead and open the door for her. Spend that quality time with her, and be intimate. It's not all about intercourse. It's just being intimate, sitting there, holding hands, and just listening to her for the most part, just open your heart up to her. Communication, like I say in here, is always the key. You want to talk, you want to express yourself, you want to express your heart, and you guys can dialogue and go back and forth with that. So it's a lot of wisdom packed in here, and a lot of it is, stuff that we should do, but a lot of times we're not willing to do. Yeah. So it's a reminder for us to get back to willingly do these things that we know that we already need to do. And a lot of times with women, they talk and say what their problems are. So it's for us as men to be able to adhere to those things. But at the same time, for the women, it's you guys need to read our body language, because men, we talk with body language, we talk with signs and facial expressions and stuff like that. Yeah. We're not so open like that. So you got to be open and have your eyes where you can see what he meant. Like, why did he do it this way? Why he said that over there? So that's how men are. And so as 2 different species that God has joined together, we are forever going to be learning each other, and it's just how it is. But ultimately, if the foundation is God, you'll be all right. Foundation is God, you'll be all right.
But I think one of the cool things about your poems is because poetry sometimes when we listen to poets, they they aren't always speaking of God, or and sometimes poets can go down the road of like poems that's not encouraging. And so I just feel like with the poetry arena, you could go to a poetry night and really just bring that encouragement, and not just fluff words, but especially speaking to their heart, because it is talking about their creator, God.
Yes.
So I think that that's amazing that your
Yes.
poetry, your poems are able to cross over
Yes.
like that. So how do you actually draw inspiration from your poem for your poems?
I get inspired by helping others. I get inspired by what God has done for me in my past and how I can transition, what He's done for me to others, and allow them to see, the same light that I see. And some people don't see it, true enough, but at the same time, some people do. And so if I can do it one person at a time, one soul at a time, then that's what I'll do. I can't save the masses. I understand that. I can't speak to the masses. Everybody's not into poetry. Everybody's not a Christian. That's a given.
Yeah.
However, if I've spoken to people that are not Christians and yet they know my position, and just being a Christian, they recognize and respect the fact that you are a man of God, and they take advice, and they might, okay, well, I might not go to church, I might not read the Bible, but what you told me really helped me, Larry. I really appreciate that. And so it's like, okay, you know what? At least that was something that was able to help them, and that was what really continues to, drive me, and I continue to be encouraged by doing that, and just want to just try to help people. Because I know when we look at this world, you look at the news and stuff that's going on. I mean, there's so much tragedy and so many different mistakes that people are making that they could have avoided had they had something tangible, some word, something to be able to help them. And so that's why, I went with this route of being able to write poetry with reason.
It's good. It's good. So why do you feel that your book, Poetry with Reason, is a good book to actually add to our library? Because when people enjoy reading poetry, they already have a lot of those books. They already have a lot of, they got the Maya Angelou's. Why should we add Author D.L. Winter's Poetry with Reason to our bookshelf?
Well, like I said once, it is unique. It's inspired by God. You know, God, I pray on these things, and He helps me as I'm writing this. And so, if it's for somebody that is a believer, that's a follower, that wants to strengthen their faith, or stir up their spirit, this is one of those great books to be able to do it. I mean, it has a variety of different topics, so it's not solely on just love, or solely on this, which I know in the market, you want to focus on just like one thing, but in our lives, we don't have lives that just focus on one thing. We're not robots. We got all kind of different issues that go on. So it's a variety of different things in there to be able to help us in different areas of our life. And so it's really, unique and dynamic like that, to be able to help others, to be able to tap into being their best you, in any area, you can, and that's the thing about this. This is going to be a series. So
Okay.
this is just the first book. So, and the second one is already pretty much well done, and we'll be getting ready to push that out as well. So there's always going to be new topics, always. So and for those that bring up new topics that I might not know about, I'll put these things in there through a poem, and that I take challenges like that. But it's unique like that. It's unique. It's genuine. It's true. It's from a good place in my heart. And so a lot of people are writing books just to write them for the financial reasons. My that's not my reason. My reason is to be able to get the word out, to be able to get some wisdom out, to be able to help somebody else, to be able to have a better life, and to ultimately, become overcomers, because we all face struggles in our lives one way or another. So this is one of those books that is a great overcomer type of book, to help people to be able to come over their mountains, their struggles, their stumbling blocks, different issues like that. And so that's why it's a great, great book to add to your library, so that it could be a gift for those that somebody that might have lost a loved one, somebody with marital problems, family issues. I mean, it's diverse, so it can be. And then even though they might read this one poem about their particular issue, when they go through the book and read these other ones, it's like, oh, that's so now yeah, exactly. So now you're storing up wisdom to be able to. So when you face these other issues or they come along, okay, yeah, I remember something like this and how to be able to deal with this issue and be able to overcome it. So that's really what it's all about, and that's where my heart is at. And so, you know, that's just how I feel, and I really think this would be a really excellent book to go into your library.
Excellent, excellent. And if
And
you,
that just because it's my book, because
I know, right?
it really is an excellent book. It really is.
Uh, so if you're interested in purchasing Poetry with Reason by D.L. Winters, make sure you visit that Amazon link, or you can click on his website link that's listed in the description box. So I know that you actually have two other books called Poems from All Angles, 1 and 2. Can you just tell the viewers what type of poems they would expect to read in those books?
Basically the same thing. They're all the same narrative. It's all the same, foundation. They're all biblical based, and to be able to tap on different issues that we face in our lives. A lot of these issues I've dealt with and have experience with it. So it's like I've always felt like this. I wish I had somebody to be able to tell me some things or give me some wisdom before I made this mistake. I didn't have nobody to be in my ear to tell me these things.
Yeah.
So now you have these books that you can write about certain things that you went through and that you can put it in this form. And even though it's in poetry form, it's in a form that is understandable. It's not one of those poems that you read and you have no clue, you're lost. It's all kind of, yeah, I know how some poetry can be. That's why I say this is unique. It's not those type of poems where you read it and you just completely lost and you're like, okay, so what was he talking about? Like, what was this? So no, it's going to be focused. It has, a way of being able to enlighten individuals. And the other two books are the same exact way. And the ones that are coming after are going to be the same exact way. That's the whole purpose. That's the reason, to be able to enlighten people, be able to encourage people, to be able to support people, to be able to uplift people, to be able to assist people, and making this world a better place to ultimately save souls one soul at a time. And yes, and all the glory be to God. So we're magnifying God throughout the whole process. Mm-hmm. That's really what it's about.
Mm-hmm. So, do you only write poetry books?
I do, but I also write some short stories.
Okay.
I did write a short story, which I'm thinking about it, putting it into this next coming up book. It's going to be coming around. I don't have a date on it yet, but I want it to be something around towards the end of the year. And it's called The Story of Nativity. So we heard about, the nativity story. Yeah. Well, like I said, mine is unique, so I'm going to change it up some way or another, but it's still a focus. It's still pinpointing, the real true meaning of what Christmas is all about. So not only does it have a poem, but it's also going to have the outline, the breakdown, the essay to it. And so I think that's what I'm going to start adding to it, and just putting little short stories together and doing that. So that's the up and coming plan. So I'm kind of getting y'all into the mind of Mr. Winter of what I'm doing and trying to. That's what I'm doing.
So now, if you are interested in being notified when D.L. does decide to release that book, make sure you go to his Facebook page and don't just like his page, but follow his page as well. And you'll be notified when he does release that book. Make sure you also subscribe to his YouTube channel, because in doing that, you will also be notified when he posts new videos on his channel. So, what advice would you actually give to someone who is interested in sharing their poetry but has a fear of criticism?
Oh, okay. Well, fear. I take that word right there. God never gave us a spirit of fear, so we got to come bold with it. And if that's what's in your heart to do, and if that's what you want to do, then do it. If that's your passion, if it's not your passion, then I wouldn't pursue it. But if it's your passion, if this is something that God has put on your heart, then do it, and do it with boldness, because you are representing God. But then at the same time, that's Christian poetry. If you're just doing poetry, you just want to, speak on what you want to speak on. Hey, it's an accomplishment. It's something, that you're doing. You're writing a book. You're speaking positive. You're doing something, hopefully, to be able to encourage others or enlighten others. So, I would encourage it. I would tell you just to pursue it, and never mind what the naysayers say, the haters say, because you're going to have them regardless. No matter what you do, you do something good, they're going to hate on you. You do something bad, they're going to hate on you. So it's no win. It's a lose-lose situation. So
Right.
you can't stay stagnated because of what somebody else might think of you or what somebody might say. They're gonna have opinions. They're gonna have statements all day long. That shouldn't ever stop anyone from doing anything that they feel in their heart that they want to do and pursue. That is that's a good thing to do. So hey, go for it. I mean, the sky's the limit. I
Yeah.
mean, there's millions of books that's out there. So get it edited true enough because that's probably the only criticism that you want to take is when it's getting edited by the editor. But other than that, pursue it. I would say pursue it. Don't give up on your dream. If it's your dream, do it.
So, how did you gain confidence in reading in front of people? Because, that's one of the major hurdles, with people is speaking in front of people.
It started in church. It started in church. My pastor, Pastor Freddie L. Thomas, Jerusalem Mission out in Bakersfield, California. It
Okay.
started with him. He would put me up there, and he started me at the superintendent over the church, and then I went to Sunday school teacher, and I had to get up there. And yes, I understand there are those nervousnesses that you have, those nervous jitters and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
after I got to looking at the people, and it's like these people love me. I know these people; they know me. What am I so afraid of? And then, what is the fear anyway? What's going to happen? I had to ask myself these questions. Okay, so I'm up here. What am I afraid of? What for you looking at me? People look at me all day long. What am I gonna be afraid of? There's nothing to be afraid of. So just go ahead and speak and say what you have to say. And so after that, he would ask me over the years, he would ask me to come up and be a speaker, give 10 minutes. And so I would speak on topics and stuff like that. And that's what really built my confidence up. So it was a process. And I'm just being honest, it was a process. Yes, I was just probably like everybody else, was nervous from the beginning. But then when I had to sit down and really self-assess and really ask myself, why are you so nervous? Why? There's no
Yeah.
reason for you to be nervous. Just say it. Just do what you have to do. Say what
Uh-huh.
you have to say. Express yourself. And that's that. And so that's what I ended up doing. And now I'm okay with it. I don't have no problem with it. It's good. So, and I give, like I say, even with this, I give all glory to God because He's the one that gives you the boldness, the courage to be able to do these things. And He needs those voices. He needs us to be those ambassadors to speak for Him. So, this is the least that I can do to give back as much as He's been give to me and done for me. And this is the least that I know
Yeah,
I feel.
definitely. And I think that one of the cool things is um, we have to really look at the gifts that God has given us and figure out how to utilize those gifts so that God is getting glory.
Yeah,
And
right.
like I said, I just think that that's so cool that, with your love for poetry and writing poetry, then you have decided to use that to glorify God as well as let people know about God. So I just think that that's such a blessing that you have decided to go that route. I just thank you, DL, for coming on the show and just sharing your unique style of writing poetry as well as your book, Poetry with Reasons. Like I said before, if you're interested in purchasing author D.L. Winter's book, make sure that you go ahead and either go to the Amazon link or his website that I've listed in the description box. Also, make sure you go ahead and show him some love on his YouTube channel and subscribe to his YouTube channel and follow his Facebook page as well. If you truly enjoy these shows that I produce, make sure you visit my GoFundMe page as well as my PayPal link, and you could just give any amount so I can continue to produce shows like this. Author DL, thank you so much for being on the episode of Authors to Know and Their Books to Read.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I thank you all for taking your time and watching the show and learning more about our special author today, author D.L. Winters. I hope you guys have a great day and we'll talk to you all later. Bye bye.